Let's take a look at Affinity Designer and the basic settings when talking about using multiple pages. Of course, you see page 1, 2, and 3 here. If I was to zoom out, you can see those 3 pages is all I have here. And then you simply can work with these 3 pages. But how did I come about to get these 3 pages? In this case, I went to Creative Fabrica and I looked for a journal. In this case, a gratitude journal for women, which is editable. And if you scroll down, you'll see all the options or the formats that it comes in: PDF, AI, Adobe Illustrator, PPTX, PowerPoint, and they're all in 300 dpi. You simply download that file, and then when you go back to Affinity Designer, click Open, and when you have that file, you can see here that file is in .ai format, and you simply select Open. You can take the defaults here when it opens up that AI file, and it will create those 3 files for you that you can then edit with multiple pages here inside of Affinity Designer. Of course, you can come here to this little artboard tool, and this is where you get into creating pages and understanding that multiple pages are called artboards. You can select artboard and you can select different documents, or you can use this option called selection. Then you can select the artboard, and then at that point you can copy the artboard and then you can paste the artboard. Go back up to the selection tool here, and now you have a duplicate or another page or another artboard that you can use to create more pages. At this point, you now have 4 pages and you've duplicated a page inside of Affinity Designer. And at that point, you can come up, you can go to export. You can export in all these different formats. We'll export as a PDF. Here you pick the area, the whole document, the selection area, selection only, or individual pages. We'll say whole document, and we will export. Set a file name, save, open up our file manager, and then open up that PDF. And here you can see that we have the PDF right here and the 4 pages, or the 4th page that we duplicated from that original AI file that we got over at Creative Fabrica. Awesome. So now what happens when we're staring at a blank screen and we want to create these artboards or these multiple pages? Come up to File, New. Here you have the different documents that you can create. You can see it has by default a bunch of different templates. I'm going to go ahead and just go with the letter or 8.5 by 11. And here you have a bunch of other settings: page width, page height, the DPI, the color, and then you have margins right here. You can either choose to include margins or not to include margins. If you want a good tool for margins, check out Tangent Templates, KDP Helper. Select your trim size, enter the number of pages, select the paper, interior bleed, yes or no. Click Continue. Then what this has is all the dimensions for the cover as well as the interior. Scroll down, you can see here measurements for the interior. Scroll down, you have your margins. Then you have use for Canva, Keynote, PowerPoint, as well as Adobe Creative Suite, which pretty much aligns with Affinity Designer and the Affinity products. But here is what you need: the margins inside and out. And this is just a very helpful document to include an interior template image with the margins, and I'll show you that here in a second as we come back over to Affinity Designer and we go ahead and create. Of course, I set these margins 0.375 inches, both right and left, and I'm going to select Create. At this point now, you can see I've created Artboard 1, which is my document to include the margins that you see right here in this inner blue section. Those are the margins. And to show that, if you go back to the Tangent Templates, it included this interior template image with margins. You could download that. Then when you download that, you can come here to Affinity Designer, click Images, select the margin image that you downloaded, and then if you were to place that right in the center, as you can see, the snapping tool is showing you that's in the center with the green and red lines here that intersect. You can see that that margin is precise and exactly what we used inside of the Tangent Templates tool. So that's just a quick note on margins. Of course, just hit delete to get rid of that image. And of course, at this point, we have Artboard 1, which is page 1. Now, if we come back to the Artboard tool over here on the left-hand side, select Artboard tool. Here we can just click Insert Artboard, and you can see there that Artboard 2 is now entered, and we have 2 pages. Of course, if you want to zoom, you can either use the View Zoom menu to zoom in and zoom out, or you can use your keyboard shortcuts just real quick to zoom in and zoom out. Go back to the selector tool, and then of course you can center these so you can see artboard 1 and artboard 2. Now we need something to enter on page 1 and page 2 of this blank document. And to do that, I'm going to go over to Puzzle Publishers, and I'm going to use a cool little tool called Search It, Find It. I'm going to scroll down here where I can see the canvas, and then I'm simply going to create a Search It, Find It. And to do that, I'm going to use playing card 2 because I want to be able to find this ace. And then I'm going to scroll down a little bit here, and I'm going to select the fill objects, playing card 1, which are all the images that you see here, which is a different suit. And I'm simply going to click add. It's going to add those cards, and then I can move the card I want to be found around a little bit like that and just sort of hide it right there. And then I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to download the PNG, which is going to be this image right here. And then I'm going to select the solution. It's going to highlight the solution right there. And I'm going to click download PNG. Now I have the puzzle and the solution that we're going to use over in Affinity Designer. And to do that, hit the insert image tool, select the first image, which is the puzzle, put the puzzle right there, snap it into the center. Then I'm going to select the solution, which is this image right here. I'm going to snap that in right here. Now for the solution, it could easily make the solution page where it is smaller, so I could have 4 per page, because the solution page or the solution image on the solution page doesn't necessarily need to be the same or as big as the puzzle on the first page. Then of course, if I wanted to add another puzzle, I can come back to the artboard tool, select artboard tool, insert a new artboard, zoom in here. As you can see, now I have another page. And at this point, I would come back, I would insert a new puzzle, which I had right here, which was a different puzzle. We'll snap that into the center right there. And now I want to enter the solution for this puzzle. So we'll go ahead and we'll select a new image, bring in that solution image. And in this case, we'll just do 2 per page. So we'll make this one a little bigger here, and then we'll size that up right there. Now we have 2 solutions per page. And then of course, if I want to move that, come back to the artboard tool, select the artboard tool, select the artboard, grab the pointer, slide this one over, and just come back artboard, and then select this one, and then reorganize that. And there may be a better, easier, faster way to reorganize these as well. I've yet to figure that part out. If you know, please go ahead and let me know here in the comments. But as you can see, what I have now is puzzle 1 and puzzle 2, and then the solution page. And then of course, at that point, come up to File, and I go ahead and export. Export as a PDF. Export the area, the whole document. Export. Give that a name. Save. Come back to our file manager. Open up that page right there. And now what you can see is I have created a multiple page document inside of Affinity Designer, which is a puzzle book. But as you can see, for some reason, my puzzle came out with page 1 and page 2, the solution page in the center. Creating artboard 1, artboard 2, and then moving artboard 3 into the middle didn't actually export it in that manner. So I'll have to figure that out and get you that information on exactly how to do that. But in the meantime, we can come back to Tangent Builder, come back to Tangent Builder, go ahead and upload a PDF, upload our Search It, Find It Affinity puzzle, import all the pages, and then we could easily use the Tangent Template Builder to reorganize and then download a PDF. Not optimal, not yet, but we're still learning Affinity Designer. And we know we have Tangent Template, which can do these kinds of things. So we'll go ahead and we'll open that. And now you can see that we have our puzzle on the first page, our puzzle on the second page, and then our solution page with, of course, the 2 solutions for both of our puzzles. Come back to Affinity Designer. We'll zoom in here and we'll go and show a few more basic things that we would need to add here. For example, we want to label our puzzle, so we would select a text frame, add in a text box, add some text, Puzzle 1, select that, come up, grab the font that we like right there. Of course, then we can just move this around. Then at that point, we can snap that right there in the center. And now we've identified puzzle 1. We can do the same with puzzle 2 and our solutions. And then we've labeled our puzzles, so then we can easily figure out the solutions on the solution page with the same thing by using the text tool. One last thing, if you want to know how to see these lines that are represented in green and red, these snap to the center, or what are called snapping tools, come up to View, come down to Snapping Manager, select Snapping Manager. I believe they are disabled by default, so if you were to toggle that, now you can see I don't have that snapping feature, so I would just sort of have to guess where the center is. Come back up to View, come back to Snapping Manager, enable snapping, and select Close, and then you can see that now you have the Snapping Manager and you have the grid, and you can snap it right to the center. Of course, come back to View, Snapping Manager. If you would like to know what all of these options are, simply close that, come back to Help, go to Search, type in snapping. Here you have the help feature inside of Affinity Designer. The menu item, Snapping Manager, when I hover over that, you can see it's pointed to the Snapping Manager. And if you want to know more about snapping, select the help object. And over here in the Affinity Designer help pop-up window, it gives you all the information on snapping and how snapping simplifies the positioning of new and existing objects by magnetizing, moved, or resized objects to other objects or document elements. So again, go back to Affinity Designer, zoom out, and you can see here we created multiple pages, or what are called artboards, inside of Affinity Designer. That's how you create and work with multiple pages. If you'd like to see more videos about Affinity Designer that I'm working on here to lay out the basics as I learn, so you can learn along with me, click on the video you see on the screen right now. Click that. Look forward to seeing you there, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.